Here are the top 10 best games in my opinion. Game number 1, Let Him Go. This game is not endless, but very fun. So in this first game, you play as the character Broken Spawn. Broken Spawn's life changes after his best friend, who is Fire Ring, suddenly leaves Spawn. Broken Spawn is left lonely, and he can't stop thinking about the memories he had with Fire Ring. Broken Spawn wouldn't stop having nightmares. Now the game has an open world you can explore in. You will interact with some NPC called Lime Girl, Barry, Cozy, and Perry Astron. You will talk to them multiple times through the story. They will get more mean the more you progress. Lime Girl is one of Broken Spawn's only friend now. Lime Girl tells Broken Spawn to let Fire Ring go, but Broken Spawn won't listen. Lime Girl keeps warning him, but he won't listen, so everyone becomes mean and Broken Spawn's choices turned against him. Anyway, now this story is branched and has 4 different endings. I'm gonna show y'all the 4 endings. But before, let's take a deeper look at this storyline. Spoiler alert, skip to the next game or else the game will get spoiled. Broken Spawn is running to hug Fire Ring, but he pushes him away, as you can see, and says, "I'm already tired of you." At that point, Broken Spawn is feeling betrayal, and he is now depressed. Now Broken Spawn just wants to take a walk. He opens the door and you get a mission called Talk to 4 NPC. You first talk to Perry Astron. He just talks using emotions, I guess. The second NPC is Barry. He doesn't say anything special, so let's skip him. Next up is Cozy. She doesn't say anything special either, so let's skip her too. Here's the girl I was talking about. Lime Girl, Broken Spawn's friend. Sorry for the bad quality, but the quality will get better if you watch for a few more minutes. Here, you feel a bit bad, so you have to go home. You go to sleep and you're dreaming of this dark, creepy place. Here, Broken Spawn is a type of black or something. There are 3 portals to choose from. A weird feeling tells Broken Spawn to go right. Here you meet Fire Ring again. You have to walk until there. Here you see a bridge that you should cross. And you just fall. You wake up and realize it's all a nightmare. Once again, you talk to 4 NPC. They realize you're feeling worse, and they ask you about it. You can choose to confess or stay silent. Lime Girl also realizes it. And she hugs you like a real friend. And again, you get that feeling. You have to sleep. Broken Spawn hopes to not see another nightmare. We are here again. 3 portals and 1 choice. This time something tells you to go forward. You are at an empty grass field with no trees, no humans, no animals, nothing. Pure silence. Just one single house. You enter and you see Fire Ring and his friends. He tells you you are not invited. That breaks your heart. The room is now black and no lights are on. They are getting closer. And closer every single second. You can't move. You can't run. You wake up and it was another nightmare. At this point, you can't even sleep. This is a nightmare. You get the point. Talk to 4 NPC. This is the part they are all mean except Lime Girl. She warned you. You didn't listen. The bad feeling kicks in. You feel weak and pathetic. You just want to go home and sleep. You are tired of seeing nightmares and just want to sleep. It's Fire Ring. He wants her to open the door on him. He wants to apologize. He regrets what he has done, maybe. Maybe he didn't mean it. He hugs Broken Spawn. Broken Spawn is happy now. Until this happened. It was another nightmare. Of course. Now a reversed song is playing. Poor Broken Spawn just wants to kill himself and goes to the nearest road to get ran over by a car and die. Fire Ring regrets what he has done. But it's too late now and Broken Spawn is already dead. This was just ending 1. 3 more endings to go. But let's put those other ones for a different video and talk about the next game for now. Game number 2. This Roblox game is called Untitled Tag Game. In this game, you can chase your friends or other players in this game. There are a lot different maps to do parkour and run from people. Now this game has game modes. Game modes are one of the major features in Untitled Tag Game. They can be voted in during map voting, and the game mode that has the majority's vote will be the game mode that the players will play in the game. In VIP servers, those that don't vote for the majority game mode will be kicked out of the game. If no one votes the first game mode, it will be selected by itself. My favorite one is the Crown mode. The Crown mode is the one I'm showing on screen. There are 3 buttons on the screen. You should use this button called Tag to tag someone. Use the Slide button to slide, and Jump button to jump. There are ladders you can climb and buildings you can climb. In the crown mode, if you catch someone, you will get the crown. When you get the crown, don't let others get you. That's all for the crown mode. Another mode is called infected. Tagged people will become infected and won't become runners when they tag someone. You should make all runners infected when you are infected. Tag them to make them infected. The next one is freeze. In freeze, under 50% of players are chosen to be freezers, while the rest are chosen as runners. If a freezer or chillers tags a runner, the runner will become frozen and lose 3 health per second unless a runner frees them by tagging them. If the frozen player reaches 0 health, they will become a chiller. Players who join mid-round become chillers. The game ends when all runners become chillers, giving the freezers and chillers the win. If time runs out, all remaining runners win and all freezers and chillers lose. Next game mode is called Classic. In Classic, 55% of players are chosen to be taggers, while the rest are chosen as runners. If a tagger tags a runner, they swap roles. Players who join mid-round become runners. When the timer ends, all runners win and all taggers lose. If a runner does not get tagged throughout the entire round, they earn the flawless badge, but it does not happen if the player is chosen as a tagger at the start of the round. Now, taggers have objectives. Taggers must try to tag a runner. Their roles will swap upon successfully tagging a runner. Runners must avoid the taggers from being tagged. If the taggers successfully manages to tag the runners, their roles swap. The next one is Juggernaut. In Juggernaut, 15% of players are selected. Though I'm not sure if I said this one correctly, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. To be Juggernauts, while the rest become hunters. If a hunter tags a Juggernaut, the Juggernaut loses 5% of their health. If a Juggernaut tags a hunter, the hunter loses 1/3 of their health. If a Juggernaut loses all their health, they become a hunter. If a hunter loses all their health, they become dead. Players who join mid-round also become hunters. The game ends when there are no Juggernauts, giving the hunters the win. If time runs out, the remaining Juggernauts win. Currently, there is no win condition for when the Juggernauts kill all hunters. The next game mode is called Slasher, and no, it's not a Forsaken reference. In Slasher, a random percentage of players are selected to be slashers, while the rest are survivors. If a slasher tags a survivor, then the survivor loses 55% of their health. If a survivor loses all of their health, they die. Players who join mid-round die. People who die just spectate. The game ends when there are no survivors left, giving the slashers the win. If time runs out, all remaining survivors win. I'm gonna say infected again. My last explanation was not clear enough. In infected, everyone starts as runners, except for one player who is the patient zero. The patient zero can tag runners to turn them into the infected. The infected are a weaker version of the patient zero, with slower tagging speeds and a longer build-up to max speed. They can still tag runners, also turning them into the infected. Players who join mid-round are infected. If the patient zero leaves, resets, or dies, there will be no replacement. If there are no infected after the patient zero leaves, resets, or dies, the runners win. But it needs confirmation. The game ends when all runners have been turned into infected players, giving the patient zero and the infected the win. If time runs out, all remaining runners win, and both the patient zero and infected lose. The next game mode is Initiation. This game mode was added as part of the Combat Initiation collaboration. One of 2 remixed Combat Initiation soundtracks will play during the round. In Initiation, one player is chosen to be the king, while the rest are runners. The king is tasked with killing all of the runners and can do 3 special attacks: slashing or slamming with their sword, punching or throwing a spiked object, and shooting from cannons. The runners are given a sword and must kill the king. If a runner is successfully attacked by the king, they will lose 1/3 of their health. Rounds last up to 10 minutes. If by the end of a round the king has been killed, the runners win. If the king is still alive, the king wins. The next one is competitive. In competitive, 55% of players are chosen to be taggers, while the rest are chosen as runners. If a tagger tags a runner, then they swap roles, and the tagged player loses a third of their health. If a player reaches 0 health, they become a dying tagger. A dying tagger has 15 seconds to tag a runner, or else they become dead. Players who join mid-round, they die. When the timer ends, all runners win while all taggers and dead players lose. In Team Swap, 50% of players are chosen to be the red team, while the other 50% are the blue team. If a player from one team tags a player from the other team, then the tagged player will switch teams. Players who join mid-round are neutral. Both neutral and dead players can be tagged by players on either the red team or blue team to join their side. The neutral and dead players do not count as a team and will always lose when the round is over. The game ends when there is only one team left, giving the team the win. If time runs out, no team wins. The next one is Deathmatch. In Team Deathmatch, 50% of players are chosen to be the blue team, while the other 50% is the red team. If a player tags a player of the opposite team, then the tagged player loses 50% of their health. If a player loses all of their health, then they become dead. Players who join mid-round will be neutral and can be tagged by players on either the red team or blue team to join their side. The neutral and dead players do not count as a team and will always lose when the round is over. The game ends when there is only one team left, giving the team the win. If time runs out, no team wins. The last one is Chaos. One player becomes a Patient Zero, one player becomes a Crown, one player becomes a Bomb. A random percentage of players become Freezers. A random percentage of players become Slashers. A random percentage of players become Juggernauts. A random percentage of players become Taggers, and the remaining all become Runners. As the round continues, runners may become infected, chillers, or die based on their interactions with the taggers. Players who join mid-round become neutral and can be tagged by any role to become a part of their team. All roles have a particular objective that they must fulfill by the end of the round in order to win. All infected roles, including Patient Zero and Infected, must infect all runners and juggernauts. All freeze roles, including freezers and chillers, must convert all runners. All juggernauts must eliminate all infected players. All slashers must eliminate all chillers, juggernauts, and runners. Both taggers and the bomb must remove their role. All runners and the crown must avoid losing their role. Neutrals and those who died are not considered a team and will always lose. That's all for Untitled Tag Game. The third game is called Block Tales. Block Tales is a game full of adventures. So many things to talk about in this game. I'm going to talk about the combat system. In-game, players are given a set of actions that can be used to benefit the player, attack enemies, or help your own party, or to the detriment of an enemy. There are swords in the game called Svath swords. Each have different elements. We have Wind Force, Ghost Walker, Firebrand, Ice Dagger, and Venom Shank swords. Anyway, Sword Energy, shortened to SE/NRG, is an exclusive resource available during battle, allowing players to perform actions with the SFOTH swords the player owns. Appearance. Sword Energy takes the appearance of a round, pointy orange aura with circular empty space present in the middle and is indicated in battle with a bar on the right-hand side. Now it's time to explain the HP and SP dials. When the player enters a battle, boxes will be displayed at the center bottom of the screen, presenting two dials showing the players and their party members' current HP and SP. There is also an image of the corresponding player's face above the box with the dials, which is colored differently depending on the menu color of the player it corresponds to. Heart points, also known as HP, shows how much health a player has during a battle. Special points, also known as SP, can be expended to use certain card abilities. Low health. Having or rolling to 25% of base your health distorts the music, which can be disabled in the settings, and changes the player's idle animation to display exhaustion. Having or rolling to 1 distorts the music even further. If the player has been downed, the music will be pitched down in addition to the distortion. When attacking instead of the usual 0.1 NRG, this effect is removed if the player heals above 25% of their base HP rolling HP. When taking damage, the full amount is not immediately subtracted from the player's health. Instead, health will slowly increment down until the total has been applied. This speed is increased when hard mode card is equipped, and HP will not roll when aggressor is equipped. SP does not roll and will instead instantly change. Mortal damage is a combat mechanic in that occurs when a player takes enough damage to set their HP target to 0. Due to the rolling HP system, this does not immediately result in fainting. Mechanics. When a player takes mortal damage, their HP begins ticking down to 0 at a moderate speed. During this time, the player can still perform actions, allowing them to heal themselves or execute 1 or 2 more attacks before their displayed HP reaches 0 and they faint. Visual effects. The player's screen begins to flick very intensively. This effect can be reduced or disabled in the game settings. The screen can tint to pink too. A pink background appears in the area where the player's name is displayed on the status box. Survival chance. There is a small chance to survive taking mortal damage, indicated by the text, "Player barely survived." This survival is determined by RNG and is not favorable to rely on in combat. Interactions with rolling HP. If the battle ends or the player runs away while the HP is still ticking down, the player retains whatever HP value is currently displayed at the end of the battle. If the player's HP reaches 0 during the enemy defeat animation, the player will take mortal damage. Taking 200 damage or more bypasses rolling HP and instantly sets HP to the target value, causing immediate fainting if applicable. The HP ticker gradually decreases to 0 instead of instantly setting the value. Disabled when aggressor is equipped. Strategy. Players who have taken mortal damage have a brief window to save themselves by using healing items or cards such as Cheeseburger or Cure, having allies heal them, or leeching health from enemies via ANKH. However, players should not rely on the random survival chance, as it is unpredictable and inconsistent. Every time the round starts or the animation of an action finishes playing, the game checks if any player has 0 HP at that moment. If they do, they go down. They can no longer select actions in battle or be targeted by enemies. Healing cannot be performed on downed players. A teammate using abilities like Resurrect, Sacrifice, or Hot Leaf Juice, First Aid Kit, Egg, or Nasi Goreng can revive the player back into the battle. In a party, downed players will be revived with 1 health point. In a party, downed players can leave the battle by holding down on the leave button for 3 seconds, sending them back to the spawn point and full health, as if the player had lost the battle. Losing the battle. Once all players in a battle die, the battle is lost. Each player will be sent to their last checkpoint with a full restore of their HP and SP, as well as any items consumed during the battle. Restored to their inventories. The enemy will remain undefeated in the overworld where the minimum is. The combat log serves as the, combat log during a battle. This UI updates everything that happens in a battle and clears at the start of a new turn. Different messages are color-coded to indicate what happens during the battle. The Action UL is a menu consisting of multiple cards, aka buttons, that lead to sub-menus. The cards include ball or launcher, sword or slingshot, other, special, items, and strategies. When entering a sub-menu, a back arrow appears for easy navigation. Clicking the ball card opens the ball sub-menu, where the player can choose to perform a basic ball attack or use a special ball attack equipped via cards. The launcher card replaces the ball slot, applying Def Down Level 1 for 3 turns, and dealing damage to adjacent enemies equal to the damage the targeted enemy took 1 damage. Defense is not calculated in this. Prior to Demo 3, the launcher did half the damage that was dealt to the target. The sword submenu is the sword counterpart of the ball submenu. The slingshot card replaces the sword slot, granting an attack that deals +1 more damage than a regular sword and can target any enemy. However, the slingshot is nullified if the enemy has defense that the player uses power shot or their defense is decreased. The ball and sword submenu becomes inaccessible when using the knight and baller cards respectively. These controls will be based on the GIF that contains ball, sword, other, special, items, and strategies. Pressing D switches to a different slot, like sword. Pressing A switches to the other side, like other. Pressing W navigates to special, and pressing S is the same as W. The other submenu contains cards that do not fit into the 2 main categories which have been collected in the overworld, while the special submenu contains the SFOTH swords that do not align with the ball, sword, or strategies categories and require NRG to use. The items submenu is for items that the player has received throughout the game or has bought from an in-game location shop, and allows the player to use these items in battle. Some items have effects that only apply in battle. The Strategies submenu contains the default cards, Defend, Pass, Runaway, and Focus. It also includes active cards that don't use the ball or sword slots, such as Cure and Charge DEF. Defend grants 1 per SP. Regan and Card equipped a hidden 20% and increases the guarding window by 50%. For the duration of the turn it is used, turns when used during solo play, and is replaced with Pass if the player uses their first turn. Runaway has a 50% chance to fail initially, but on success, which is guaranteed on the second use it, forfeits all XP and TIX gained during the battle, and restores all items spent, while taking away 10 TIX from the player. TIX held cannot go below 0. 0.3 NRG. Focus fills the sword energy bar, by which can be increased with the deep focus card by 0.1 per card. The amount of SE gained is decreased in multiplayer battles. Having the NRG regenerate status effect act, like the user uses focus at the end of the turn. Blocking. Not to be confused with defending, the player can block in battle. There are 3 types of blocks. The player can execute a block by pressing space or clicking right before an enemy hits with an attack. The first is normal guarding, which reduces the damage the player takes by 50% and nullifies any status effects that the attack would inflict, should the attack cause a status effect. This type of guarding is also known as blocking. This symbol resembles the Ring of Fire image found in SFOTH, which is the game the swords that use sword energy are from. Usage. Sword energy can be utilized to perform special moves in battle. Each time a sword is obtained from a chapter, the maximum amount of sword energy that can be stored increases by 1, with the exception of Chapter 5. Each battle starts with 0.5 and can be gained throughout the battle, for each enemy turn or player attack, increasing it by 0.1. A player attacking while having low HP will gain 0.15, and on 1 the player gains 0.2. If a player has concentration, 0.1x will be gained at the end of the turn. Sword energy can also be manually increased by 0.35. The player with focus, which gives amount focus gives, can be further increased by using the card Deep Focus for an additional 0.05 per card. Sword energy gain will also be reduced by 33% in a 3-player party and 50% in a 4-player party to prevent the players from spamming the swords. Sword energy is also shared between all players in a battle, and as such, it's possible to no longer have the sword energy necessary to use a special action if the NRG was consumed by another player during the party's turn. This will force the player attempting to use the special action to instead use focus. if an enemy in the battle has the Disable's NRG attribute, the swords and the sword energy bar become locked and unusable. What is ticks? It's the currency of Blocktail, just like how Roblox has a currency of Robux. There is not only one currency, but there are two currency. The other one is called bucks. It is obtained by defeating enemies or by selling items or cards at the shop. If the player has a higher level than the enemies they are fighting, the TIX gain will be reduced down to a minimum of 1 TIX per kill. Moves in battle. Each time a sword is obtained from a chapter, the maximum amount of sword energy that can be stored increases by 1, with the exception of Chapter 5. That's all for Block Tales.